welcome to PlumesCast. My name is Seth, aka PhantasmaPlumes, and I'm coming to you pre-recorded from the game room. As always, I thank you for tuning in today. If this is your first episode, hello and welcome. We're going to be doing a brief introduction. If this is your returning episode, if you're coming back, well, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. I missed you. Did you miss me? I missed you a lot. I don't know what to do when you're not here. Anyway. Dude, I am so excited that I can say this is episode 2. Like, honestly, I didn't think I'd make it this far. No, it's just been, like, really positive reception about episode 1. So I'm super excited to kind of get back into more podcast and, you know, to talk about positive things. We're going to be talking about Gatcha gaming today. Yay! It's been a long requested topic. Ever since I started talking about doing PlumesCast, people were like, okay, I want you to do Gatcha games. Because that's kind of been like, if you ever come on to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/PhantasmaPlumes, for those not in the know, you will see a very Gatcha aesthetic. It kind of was the original theme I was going for, and then I ended up going for something more stellar, I guess. Maybe stellar isn't the right word. I feel like that's solar. Yeah, solar. Space themed. I'm gonna stop using big words. Space themed. It's like you walk in, they're glow in the dark stars where like a bunch of Gatcha machines are. Just like, yeah, that's me. But I had this conversation topic for a long while. I'm excited to talk to you all about it. To give you a quick overview, we're basically going to be talking about like the origins of Gatcha, how Gatcha games work, describe the different types of Gachas, and then the levels of Gatcha players. And then we'll talk about a little bit more about my experiences too, about Gatcha games. I'll tell you about the good, the bad that I've gone through, a lot of different friend groups that I've made because of Gatcha games. It's a very interesting market, to say at the very least. But before I really get deep into the nitty-gritty, for everybody that this is your first episode of PlumesCast, and trust me, returning listeners, I will not do this every episode. I'm just doing this because this is episode 2, you know? I kind of have to do a little bit of a previous episode catchback. Let's do this like it's a generic shonen anime. On the last time of PlumesCast, PhantasmaPlumes introduced himself. No, I'm kidding. If I could do that, if I could hold that voice all the way through and not laugh, I would. But I don't want to blow out your ears. I really need to start putting at the beginning after the little jingle, headphone warning, please. I like to scream. But anyway, real quick, my name is Seth. Like I said, I'm PhantasmaPlumes on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. Basically anywhere you see PhantasmaPlumes, it's probably me. If it's not, it's a problem. But I am a variety streamer on Twitch. I play a bunch of different games. I cook every Friday on Twitch. Actually, yesterday, as of the time recording this, I made a pork marsala. It was absolutely fantastic. I leave the recipes all up on my Discord, the Plumes Paradise. So if you guys ever want to try any of the recipes I made on stream, usually I will, I'll put the recipes on like Sunday night when I decide what I'm going to make. And then I will, make them Friday. And I don't think anybody has ever taken the opportunity to cook alongside me, but that was always the intention behind it. I also make what are called Plumes promos, where basically I take a picture or like a screen grab of whatever game that we're going to be playing, and I put it on, or I put my character over it. So if you go on Twitter and look up the hashtag Plumes promos, you'll see all the promo art I made for streams coming through. I hope you guys have been enjoying them, because I really have had a lot of fun editing everything to, be exciting, entice people to come in and listen and, dick around with me. But anyway, I think that's a good enough explanation. If you want more explanation about who I am And what I do, go back and listen to episode 1, you know. It's good content, I promise. It's not like, you know, emerging podcasts where it's just like, I don't know what to talk about. Thank you for listening. And I will say this, I apologize if my voice seems deeper than usual. I woke up not too long ago. It'll probably get a little bit lighter as I continue to talk here. But yeah, no, I woke up, like, my eyes shot open. It's the second night that I've gotten over 8 hours of sleep in a row. And it's just like, I can do PlumesCast. I have ideas. I have the ability to talk for hours on end. Oh, those fools will never know what's coming to them. Anyway, so with all that said, I am ready to get into today's topic. What is gacha gaming? So before I really get into it, I'm gonna do the generic thing of describing what gacha gaming is, where it came from, just like any other YouTuber you'd see. So to explain it in short, gacha gaming, or kind of like the idea of gacha, came from what is known as a gachapon machine in Japan. And what gachapon machines were basically, have you ever gone to, like, you know, I guess, let's say like I've seen these in Publix. You'll see these around in malls nowadays, but I'm thinking back like when I was super young. You'd see these little toy machines at like Publix and restaurants where you put in like 25 cents, 50 cents if it's a nicer toy, crank the crank, and then, using mechanical terms only, you crank the spindle or spinner, and then out comes a toy, and you pop it open, and it's just like, oh wow, I got the, you know, sticky glove, or the sticky hand that I see on all the memes. I'm gonna slap this on the wall and leave imprints everywhere. My mom's gonna hate it. Oh, dude, real quick, before I talk about, like, the actual gacha machines, did anyone have those hands? Did anyone have those? Did anybody used to slap the shit out of other people with them? I did. I was a menace when I had those. I used to go for the ones with, like, little rings on the back of them and just, like, throw it out like a full-on punch, and then I'd watch the hand go. I used to break these things, right? I would break these things because I would throw it so hard and, like, the middle line would snap, which would make a devastating hit if I ever hit somebody with that final slap. Whew. Now I kind of want to go find these. Damn it. Damn it. I wonder if they still make them. Anyway, flashback from the 90s and low 2000s over. So basically in Japan, they had these same, like, bigger versions of these machines. You would go to certain places, and you can still go to it now. I'm going to say Akihabara. Wow, I can speak Japanese. Akihabara. Where they're, like, most prevalent. But you go, you put in your coins, you would turn the machine, and make a gotcha, gotcha, gotcha as you're turning it. And then when you have the little capsule in hand, you, boom, open it up, and there was your toy. That's kind of where gacha games originated from. That is where gacha games originated from, the concept of it. So gacha games take that concept, and instead of, you know, actually putting coins and cranking a machine, you would just, you know, use digital currency to roll, which would either get you a character, like, depending on the gacha game you're playing. I'm thinking of, like, 3 off the top right now. You would either get a character, you would get a summon, you get a weapon, depending on what gacha element you're pulling for. Now, gacha games have also kind of changed over the years. You know, thinking one of the biggest gacha games, well, currently, is Genshin Impact. And people don't really like calling that one a gacha a whole bunch. At least from my experience, because they associate gachas to much more heavily gacha related type things. And I know this isn't really making a whole bunch of sense. It's more so if you're in the know, you're in the know. So to kind of back it up just a tiny bit, when I think of the original gacha games, I think of Grand Blue Fantasy, which is probably one of the longer running ones. that I'm aware of that still has a very big fan base. But basically, gacha games in general, like, to describe it to somebody that's never played one, think of it like a loot box, all right? Because that's exactly what it is. Except instead of getting, loot boxes for free, you have to put a little bit of money behind it. Would I consider Overwatch a gacha game? Not really. So, you get into these weird conversations where it's like, where's the line for gacha gaming? And I would say, for example, I wouldn't consider Overwatch a gacha game because you're not getting characters. You're not, at least as far as I remember, you weren't getting characters. You were getting cosmetics, and that's about it. Actually, come to think of it, I don't think you ever paid for characters in Overwatch. Now I'm thinking Apex. Shit. Maybe recording PlumesCast after I woke up was not a good idea. It's okay. I'm gonna keep pushing through this, damn it. One take only. That's another thing. If you are new, PlumesCast is a one take only show. I'm supposed to model this after like a Twitch stream, yo. So I can't exactly get all my thoughts already on paper. That detracts the whole point. I take like a few notes on the side of things I want to talk about, and then I just go. But anyway, so in talking about what makes a gacha game, some people will define it just as if you put money or in-game currency to a randomized system, it is a gacha game. I kind of disagree with that. I say if you have a significant portion of your game require, or like you don't need it, but it helps, then I would consider that more of a gacha game. So to kind of break it down, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Apex, where it's all mainly cosmetic stuff, I wouldn't consider that gacha gaming. That's more of a loot box system. It's akin to it. I could see where people would call it a gacha game, but Then you have kind of like the mid-tiers where it's like Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact's interesting because you can get through the game without, pulling once. Like, it makes it more fun, I will say. Like, I have drastically increased my Genshin Impact time, both because of my girlfriend who's super into it, and, the approaching Yai Miko, because, Fox girls, man, your boy kind of goes for it. But also because I pulled here recently and I got catching, which she just changed how the game is played for me, and like this stuff, it just is more fun for me. Plus, I had a couple of friends like come through and like explain team building, how to increase my damage, and it's just been more fun like actually playing stuff through. I actually, spoiler warning, if you're spoiled by this, look, yo, that's kind of sad. I finally went through one of the story missions here the other day, and I figured out that Master Diluc, my favorite character in that game, is Batman. So, I was kind of mad at myself, actually. I was sitting there playing it, and I was like, bruh, wait, he's Batman? Bruh, no, that's cool, but bruh, why did it take me so long to figure this out? Like, or why did I not get any hint of this outside of the game? I actually had to play the game to figure that out? Man, lame. Anyway, so Genshin Impact's kind of an interesting one, where you do not need to roll, but it vastly improves your experience if you do. That one, though, I do consider gacha gaming. And then you have the kind of super greedy ones, where it's just like everything's locked behind a gacha. You're not going to succeed, like the pay-to-win gachas. I would consider Grand Blue closer to that, because even though it's very generous with its currency, because like it basically will give out twice, maybe 3 times a year, free rolls for like X amount of days. And then they have like special rolls that are like, if you basically don't get like a 5-star in all these free rolls, you're building up a meter, and then you get to spark with it. which sparking in itself is an interesting concept too. We'll probably cover that a little bit later. But you'll build up this meter, and once this meter is full, you get to do like the special 200 pull, and then you would go, you do your 200 pulls, and then they had like an extra special one, which was like a Muku roll, which was you kept rolling until you got a 5-star. And then they had like a super Muku roll, which was like you kept going until you got like maybe 5 stars. Regardless, if you take the 2 games I've listed thus far, Genshin and Grand Blue Fantasy together, Genshin like just barely passes you drops of water every now and again. Like that Gacha. Oh man, we could go on a full on argument about how bad Genshin is about actually treating its players. Oh, hell, even if I mention like the first year anniversary, that'll trigger some people, because it's just interesting how like seriously people take gacha games. But let me back that up just a tiny bit. I've kind of actually already covered the bits that I was wanting to go over to start. You know, different how gacha games work, how like the different types of gacha games. So let me real quick describe the levels of gacha players. So when I talk about that, I'm talking about like how much they actually spend in gacha games. You have, you know, free to players, which are they don't put any money into it. You have your goldfish, which are like, and it's interesting. Depending on who you talk to in the industry, you will get like different real answers. So take these with a grain of salt. But goldfish players are basically somebody that'll spend like $100 to $100, I guess, annually. Excuse me. They will like rarely buy the packs that gacha games will offer. So like if you're playing a gacha game, usually they'll try and sell you on a pack that's like, hey, if you spend, you know, $10, you get X amount of currency and these extra items. More commonly now, you'll find what are called like the monthly packs. And they're like maybe $5, like to describe them from popular games. The Welkin Moon from Genshin. There is the Notori pack from Toho Lost Word. There is the monthly, I forget if it's called anything, monthly diamonds in Guardian Tales. There's, and I'm just thinking of gacha games I played, I'm sorry, I'm being biased. There is the Load Bead pack in World Flipper. So, God, I'm like absolutely... Let me break real fast. I am god awful with names. I apologize in advance. As you guys get to like know more about me, I can give you every aspect of a game, but when it comes to like the nouns, I lose it. And it's just like I can't think of, you know, character names worth crap. I can't think of, you know, game names worth crap. But I can tell you everything about it, you know? Shit. If you can't tell, when I can't even think of Grand Blue Fantasy off the top of my head or Genshin Impact, it's just like, bruh. It sucks sometimes, dude. It sucks. But anyway, so that's kind of some examples of the monthly packs where basically you pay X amount of money, usually less than $10. And if you log in every day, you get, you know, X amount of currency. So, like, they'll tempt you. They'll be like, okay, in the example of Guardian Tales, they'll say, all right, you get 1,000 paid currency or maybe 500 paid currency. And then if you come in every day, we'll give you 100 free currency. And, like, if you miss a day, on a lot of these games, that's it. Like, it's a sunk cost. And it's really interesting because it's a great way to increase daily playtime. That's what a lot of gacha games are trying to do. And they really make this big push for dailies, which are like 4 to 5 missions, maybe 3 to 5 would be more accurate, where if you do these things, you get this amount of items that'll help you in the game. And if you do them over a course of a week, there's usually weeklies, and they'll give you something. I'll go into that a little bit deeper a little bit later. I know I kind of have like a 3D brain where I can jump between topics, and sometimes that's a little hard to follow. So I'm trying to streamline my thoughts just a little bit more. But anyway, so you have the goldfish. They spend anywhere from like $1 to $100. You have your dolphins, which they will spend from like $100 to $500. These are the people that are more likely to buy like all the gacha packs that'll come out. Not all of them, but like more specific ones. So like say for example, if a character they really, really like comes out and there's a special pack that goes with it, they are more likely to get that pack and then, spend additional on getting currency until they get them. Hi, I play Fate Grand Order. I spent money for Tamamo. I spent money for Tamamo no Me, Lancer Edition, and damn it, if I was still playing Fate Grand Order, I would be going for Tamamo no Me, Assassin version. But, and then you have the biggest, more well-known title, the Whales. The Whales will usually spend more than $500, and it is bad. Like, they will buy typically every pack that comes out. They really, like, if they see an opportunity to spend money, they're not always going to jump at it, but if it makes them stronger, they will probably do it. I know a couple of Whales, IRL, and honestly, I don't know how they do it. I respect them and their money managing abilities, but they do not tend to, at least my friends that I know, they do not tend to live their best lives because they spend so much on fucking gacha games. In fact, I do have a friend that is in debt, legitimately in debt, because of Fate Grand Order. Excuse me. And I don't know why I didn't bring up Fate Grand Order when I was talking about levels of gacha games. That's another greedy one. But I wouldn't put it to the same level as like a Genshin, because they actually give you freebie currency just from logging in. I'd say they're a little bit more generous. Not a whole lot, but Anyway, so now that you kind of have like some basic explanation of how like gacha games work, there's a couple of other terms you'll hear about gacha games, like rate up. Rate up is a lie. If you are on any gacha game, like Twitter, subreddit, you'll see somebody scream, rate up is a lie. And I can agree to that. So to kind of explain that for the uninformed, rate ups are basically banner events where characters, items are, on a higher rate. So when you pull in a gacha game, you have like a 1 in X amount chance to pull the character you want. So to break it down, I would say most gacha games will follow the 70-25-5 model, where it's like 70% is fodder stuff. 3-star items that aren't really that great, you can use them. 25% is 4-star type stuff, where it's actually, somewhat usable. And then that last 5% are the 5 stars or the highest ranked stuff that people really want. That's like what the rate up is. And then within that 5%, you have a pool of characters that you could get. And rate up generally refers to, if you luck out and get that 5% chance of getting that 5-star of the X amount of characters in it, you have a higher chance of pulling this character. So to explain it more in like, if you see somebody playing like something like Genshin, all right, you will have somebody pull, they might get a 5-star and they could get a weapon and then they're, screwed. Or they could get, a different 5-star character. You're not always guaranteed to get the 5-star that you want, unless you do something that's known in like a couple of games as sparking. And everything has like different names to it. I believe Dragalia Lost just came up with sparking not too long ago. Really, this comes from Grand Blue, as far as my knowledge goes. The uninformed, unstudied, the boy that just plays the gacha games for the pretty JPEGs. Basically, what it means is it's a guaranteed pity. So there's pity rates in some games where if you are constantly rolling and you're not getting the character that you want, you have a heightened chance to get that 5%. But they have what are known as guaranteed pities or sparking, where if you roll X amount, you will be able to choose a character or get the character on the banner. I know for Granblue, you get to pick from a pool of characters that, like, whatever banner is up, you get to pull from that set of characters. And what you'll see a lot of Granblue players do is they'll reserve their resources, you know, occasionally buy packs until they have, like, 90,000 crystals. I don't know, like, the financial, like, how much that translates to. Usually it's closer to, like, $300 from what I've seen. $300 to $500 worth of gacha currency. And then they will, you know, spend it all through, get a pity or spark, and then, you know, pull whatever character they want. And it's usually, like, honestly, unless there's a character you absolutely want, it's usually smarter in those games just to save up your currency. But that's also kind of like where gacha gaming kind of target their audience. So going back to the whole, you know, free-to-players, goldfish, dolphin, and whale, you really will only see, like, if you want your game to be successful, you want at least 60% of your players to be goldfish tier, where they have at least spent a little bit of money. You want, like, 30% of your, you know, gaming, or your player base to be dolphins, and you want, like, if you can get 10% of whale players, you are fucking set. Like, that's where your big money is. A lot of the times when gacha games come out, they are appealing to the whale players, people that will spend so much time into this. And it's like, for some people, playing gacha games is a straight up chore. Like, I've met people that are in so many different gacha games that they end up spending like an hour of their day every day just doing dailies. And just in like a variety of different games. Am I any better than that? You know, I'll talk about my experiences a little bit later. I mean, it's interesting because you'll have games that are much more involved, like Genshin, that, you know, will take you maybe about 30 minutes a day to go through and do everything. And then you'll have games like Touhou Lost Word, where it's like, I can do everything I want in 5 minutes. So, it's more so just time management at that point, and knowing what games you want to continue playing hardcore. Like, there's a couple of games where I just log in. I get whatever I get for logging in, and then I go. That is how I'm with right now with World Flipper, because World Flipper is not doing anything to really interest me. It's an interesting gaming concept. It's a pinball gacha. So, instead of, you know, just tapping commands and, you know, placing characters like Fire Emblem Heroes, you basically just play pinball. And it was a unique concept to start, but it just hasn't really kept my attention, so I just keep it on the side. Every now and again, I'll just log in and, you know, burn my stamina doing, you know, autos, getting experience and stuff, and then I'm just like, alright, whatever. But, yeah, no, you'll have people that will spend, like, it's almost like a second job for some people. And then you have people that are, like, super into the gacha games themselves. Like, I keep going back to Granblue because this is the most widespread example I've seen. Genshin is like this, too. But you will find, like, occasionally there'll be, like, events in game called raid bosses, or Unite and Fight is the Granblue example, where you and your guild will just go on a fucking rampage, taking on another team, and it gives so many resources that it's stupid not to do it. But you'll find, like, there's Princess Connect actually is a really good example of this, where people will come up with full-on battle plans to the second. Because I think in Princess Connect, and obviously some of my friends that play it will probably correct me on this after this goes out. Hey Yuman, hey KO, hey Niji, how's it going, guys? Here's your shout out. But fuck, I lost my train of thought. So basically, I think in Princess Connect, you are just killing raid bosses, and based on your strength, like guilds will organize different attack times and be like, okay, this team needs to go at this time. You need to do your skills at X, Y, and Z, and if you don't, you're kicked from the guild. It's not always that serious, but I've definitely run into a couple of different people that like micromanage the hell out of gacha games, and they're just like, I gotta do this. It's gotta be perfect. I need this character. They are kind of, I would say you're gonna see those types of people more as like dolphins and whales who are like super into the game. And it's like, I will say this too. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be a dolphin or a whale. Like, by no means do I mean to slander any of these people who are super into something. If anything, it's a hobby like all the rest. If you are having fun and you are enjoying the characters, like Fate Grand Order is a very money-grubby game. You will have to pool, and the rates are not that kind. I think, if I remember correctly, I think it was like maybe 3% for a 5-star, and most of that percent, it might be 1%, honestly. And most of that percent, you get a craft essence instead of a servant. So, you know, and I can actually use this to transition to like my experience with Gacha and kind of like take my experience. If you are completely new to the world of Gacha and you are debating getting into a Gacha game, let me preference everything I'm about to say with this. By all means, try Gacha games. Find one that you're interested in. I personally, if I'm recommending a Gacha game for somebody brand new, I will start them, depending on the person, I would actually start them with Genshin. Because Genshin's very, you can do a lot without Gacha, but it makes the game much more fun if you have, like, different characters than what they give you. It's not my fault that they put one of the starting characters that you get in her own tier, Amber Fans Unite. But she is D tier, and it's just, But I'll either say Genshin if they're, like, more of a open world type player, or if they, like, really want to get into the gacha experience, I'll say Grand Blue. Just because that tends to be... it gives people a good experience of what, like, most gacha games are. But, by all means, give it a shot. And if you're having fun and you want to put a little bit of money in, do it. It's kind of like the stock market in that regard. If you're experimenting and you want to try it, toss a couple of bucks in, see how it goes. If you're still having fun with it, toss a little bit more. Be mindful of how much you have. But don't go all the way. Actually, that's a really good analogy for the stock market. If you're having fun, don't toss all your money into it because, you still have to cover yourself. And if, for example, the game goes down, like the stock market's crashing, I don't want to be responsible for for your, sunk cost that was. It feels good to talk about the stock market on PlumesCast, Your boy trades stocks. It is hurting. It is hurting. But anyway, let me transition a little bit to my experience with gachas, though. So, as I said, I've played a lot of gachas. Real quick, I'm going to do the unprofessional thing. You might hear me open my phone. I did mute it. But, I did mute it. Anyway, right now, I play, looks like 7 different gachas. Just to go down the list, I have Touhou Lost Word, Puzzles and Dragons, Guardian Tales, Grand Blue Fantasy, Touhou Danmaku Kagura, which is kind of an interesting one because it's not really a gacha game, it's more of a rhythm game, but it has gacha elements, World Flipper, and Mitrosphere. And all of those I tend to log in daily, except for Danmaku Kagura. I haven't been playing that one in a long while, just because it's kind of lost my interest. But all of those I play, at least for 5 minutes a day. I also do Genshin Impact, but that one is a little more sparse in my playtime. It's gradually getting longer and longer every time I go to play it, just because, fuck it, I'm fucking around, and I enjoy just kind of like running around Tevat and smacking things, and then my friends are like, Seth, you gotta play the story if you want to actually get anywhere. I'm like, oh yeah. But I also used to play, and this is kind of where a lot of my Gacha experience really kick off, and I think this really was my first Gacha game. But there was this game called Puyo Quest, and it was a Puzzles and Dragons type game with Puyo Puyo characters. It's actually how I met a lot of my friends, and that's why I'm kind of, I encourage people to get into Gacha games, because it gave me the opportunity to meet so many different people and do so many different things, and got me deeper into, like, the fandoms that I was in, that it was, it was a lot of fun. I still have very vivid memories of playing with, my now super close group of friends, of us, like, first introducing each other, doing what were, like, multiplayer rooms in Puyo Quest, where all 4 of us were playing together, and, like, we'd swap people out and be like, okay, my stamina's out, somebody else host. It was a lot of fun, and it was stupid because we'd start screaming at each other. It was like, oh, you didn't get a 5 chain! Oh, you broke the combo! No! Oh, God. I have just warm memories, but also I have sunk a lot of money. At least to me it was a lot. So, just to completely put myself on blast here, a lot of gacha games, in order to get you to spend money, will do collabs with different, IPs. And there was a Sailor Moon one. Now, mind you, your boy has never seen Sailor Moon. This has been one of those shows that, like, I've promised X amount of people that I'd watch it with them, and then we never do. Like, it's almost become a running joke with me that if somebody actually sits down and watches Sailor Moon with me, I will marry them. That's it. If you watch like 5 episodes of Sailor Moon with me, because I have not seen a single episode, but if you watch like 5 episodes with me, I will have the ring ready. It wasn't really, talking about girlfriends and all, but usually it was people I was interested in, because it was like, it's a long series, and it's something that, like, I'm trying to communicate that I want to spend time with you, and we both have this interest for Sailor Moon, so, hey. But to just, like, continue on with all of that, like, I ended up spending on that collab, I want to say like $200, because I ended up having to pity Sailor Moon. But like, all the cards were like super powerful, and I was like trying to talk to people that were like really into Sailor Moon at the time, and it's kind of funny. We actually just got to the ending point of last episode, so your boy has leveled up his podcasting skills. I'm just watching the outro play out on the side. Thankfully, that shouldn't mess up with the recording, because it's on a separate track. But if it does, I will be very, very, very upset. Like, I've been talking for fucking 40 minutes now almost. How dare you ruin it for me? The one take is ruined. But anyway, so I ended up spending like $200 trying to get all of the Sailor Scouts, which I did. And then, Sailor Moon I ended up, like, pitying for. But it was cool, because, like, my entire team in Puyo Quest, if I log into it, is still Sailor Moon. And it was a super strong team based on, like, all their different skills and stuff. And then, like, I never really played Puyo Quest again afterwards, because my friends started falling out of it. And I was just like, this is kind of boring. And then I eventually found myself, like, years later playing fucking Puzzles and Dragons, which is a lot worse in terms of gachas, because it has, like, a lot of power creep, meaning new characters that they release have stronger skills and better abilities, so you want to roll for those those newer characters, so that way you can continue doing well in, like, multiplayer and stuff. I found myself playing Puzzles and Dragons, and now I occasionally look back at Puyo Quest, and I'm just like, the good old days, when I couldn't read jack shit, because it's only in Japan. But, as I learned Japanese, it was easier for me to pick up on different pieces and all. But would I go back to it now? I debate it sometimes. I really do. I've been enjoying Puzzles and Dragons, because it's just something different. but I also have like a love-hate relationship with it, because with Puzzles and Dragons, they have these stupid things. And this is another element that gacha games like really try to get you to do. And unfortunately, I have fallen into this one. But they will present you with difficult content where it is stupid hard to get past certain things. Another one that immediately comes to mind is Dragalia Lost, when you start getting into like the harder tier, like master tier raids. I've watched my friends like play against bosses that they will spend like 2 hours trying to beat, and they don't even come close. But so you have to like roll for like this character that has this skill that's super helpful against this boss. It's stupid. But like Puzzles and Dragons does is they will fucking nerf you. Like they straight out are like, the enemies will put up a shield that's like, if you do more than 500,000 damage, it will absorb it and add it to its HP. And that's the stupidest fucking skill, yo. I get so tilted whenever somebody pulls that shit. Because they also have skills that are like, oh, you have to do X amount of combos or it will absorb it. And sometimes it'll hit you with both of them at once. And it'll be like, yo, so you have to do 7 combos and do less than 500,000 damage to hit the fucker. And then sometimes they just look at you and be like, huh, trash. And like clap you in one hit. And it's just like, I will say this. Most modern gacha games are pretty, I wouldn't say, super obvious about where you need to be in order to challenge certain things. But yo, Puzzles and Dragons is one of those games that's just like, yo, if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you're gonna get slapped before you even get to play. And it's just like, bruh. And it makes me sad because you lose that stamina. And that's another thing too that I didn't really touch base on. Like another thing about gacha games is they have stamina meters. So these are straight out little bits of, you can play the game for X amount of time and then you have to stop. Or you spend money to refill your bar and keep going. Sometimes they'll do it where it's like, if you watch an ad, you'll get X amount of stamina back. It's supposed to kind of entice you to come back multiple times during the day. Like, for example, going back to Grand Blue, there's a specific drop you can only get by using stamina. It is I think it's actually just called Adventure Drops. But that currency is used to better increase like your playtime. So to kind of explain that a little bit better, you can use your journey drops or adventure drops, I think it is journey drops, to basically increase the amount of XP you're going to get for an hour, or class points, or money, or, drop rate up. And based on how many that you've used, or how many you've accumulated over the month, you are then placed in a different tier. So there's like regular, silver, gold, and go on, which is basically a reflection of how long you've played the game. Like how much AP, stamina points did you use in the previous month. And if you use a lot, you can use a lot of buffs at the same time. So what you'll find is, and like Grand Blue gives you a bunch of items anyway, and you can exchange for a bunch of items too. But it is just much more like, I want you to come back and play this game as much as you can. A lot of people grind Grand Blue for a lot of time, like an hour plus a day. I've seen some of the more high-key players, especially when Unite and Fight is getting closer, just to make sure all their weapons are ready. Because they usually, what ends up happening is they'll change the element that you need to focus on. So you rebuild a team based on the current meta. It's super interesting to watch. And like, if you ever get into a Grand Blue community and just watch the conversations go by, it's very fascinating. Anyway, so that was one experience with Puyo Quest. I spent like $200. There was one point where I spent $200 or so on Tamamo when the summer version came out, Tamamo Lancer. I just like, that's one of my waifus, yo. I can fully admit it. One of two that, like, anytime I see her, my eyes open up, little hearts start appearing around my head. It's just like, oh, hi, I missed you. But I spent like 200 on her and eventually got her. Usually when I play gacha games, I will buy the packs if I'm enjoying the game. Like right now, I have the monthly pack for Guardian's Ales, and I have the monthly pack for Toho Lost Word. I've been debating getting the Genshin pack just because I don't play it every day, and sometimes it's not easy for me to play every day. But, you know, it's just like, it would help, especially as I'm trying to gather resources for a character banner that's about to drop. But all in all, and I've kind of said this already, would I recommend you getting into gacha games? Like I said, it's like the stock market. Give it a couple of bucks, or find one that you're interested in. Watch it for a little bit, see how everything plays. If you're interested, invest a little bit of your time into it. If you're having fun, mind you, a lot of gacha games like tend to fall off as more time progresses. Like certain ones will focus on more specific content than you're like used to, or they get better, you know. I will say Granblue is one of those games that I have fun every time I boot it up, because there's always something interesting to be doing. You could be doing stories, or you could do the main story and progress through that. You can be doing events, which is almost always an event running. They're usually pretty funny, and they're usually all voice acted too, which, you know, shows some production value. Yeah, the game itself isn't exactly the most animated, but there's a reason why it has the fan base that it does, and it's been running for 7-8 years. I think it actually just had its 7th birthday last year, so yeah, it's getting close to 8 years. When most gacha games fail out after a year or two. You know, R.I.P. Madoka Magica EN. Let's see here. But, if you're having fun with it and you want to keep with it, by all means, get into them, because it's because of gacha games that, like, I ended up making the friends that I have. And I have, like, if you meet somebody that's playing a different gacha game than you, you will have a common experience. So you will know, like, oh, I wanted to go for this character, this weapon, and I just couldn't get it. They will know. They will empathize with you. And sometimes gacha communities are some of the most fun. Like, I will say it was thanks to my time playing Puyo Quest and getting involved in the Puyo community that I got to be a part of Puyo Nexus. I got to, which was like, I should probably explain what Puyo Nexus is, huh? It was basically the English fan community for Puyo Puyo. And I used to help them. Well, I was kind of the lead HR person that would go and talk to different cons and different schools. Because, like, back then, schools were starting to give out scholarships for playing games. And it's like, hey, would you be interested in starting a Puyo Puyo thing? And I actually got, like, us put into a couple of different conventions. Unfortunately, I didn't get to all the conventions that I got us put into. But it was an interesting experience that kind of was the gateway to me developing my personality. Because, you can't be quiet when you are the human reps guy. So, and and thankfully to this day, I still have a number of friends from the Puyo community that I wouldn't have met if I didn't get into, like, Puyo Quest and, like, dick around with them. Because it was, like, whenever we were doing multiplayers together, we would just laugh and have a good time. And if you can find a game like that and, like, a group of people that will get into it with you, sometimes it's some of the most fun. Like, I would gladly put a couple of bucks towards gacha games every month than, buy some of the AAA titles coming through. Just because sometimes, and it's also nice, too, because as somebody that works as much as I do, being a systems admin, and occasionally, like, back then when I was, like, super getting into it, or starting to get into it, I traveled a lot. So I couldn't always bring, like, a console with me. The Switch wasn't really a thing, so I'd have my Vita, and then, like, maybe my DS. I was more of a Vita gamer. But I'd bring my Vita with me, and then I'd have gacha games on my phone. So it's just, like, quick burst of something fun. Especially nowadays when I'm in the office. If I have, like, 5 minutes and I just need to decompress, I'll turn on Puzzles and Dragons and do a level. And then, all right, I'm good for a little while longer. So it really is one of those, if you think you will like it, give it a shot. If you don't think you'd like it, still give it a shot. If it's not for you, understandable. Every gacha game operates a little bit differently. If there's one that like speaks to an IP that you're super interested in, by all means go for it. And you might find something you really like. But anyway, to transition over to the question of the day. This one was sent via Twitter, which, by the way, if you want to send questions, comments, concerns, send them over to PlumesCast@gmail.com. That is PlumesCast, PLUMESCAST @gmail.com. This is one from a friend of the show, Raymu. She asked, what are your experiences with your doing voice characters, or voicing character stuff? And honestly, she sent like 3 questions, but I realized the podcast has been going for like an hour, so I'm sorry, Raymu. I'm just gonna quickly do the one. But as far as my voice, like if you ever come onto my streams, I tend to voice different characters because I think it's, I kind of mimic the voices that they're doing because it's more fun. I like giving personality to characters. Have I ever done voice acting myself? I have not. I've been told for a long time that I should go into voice acting because I have the voice for it. I also have the face for it. No, I'm pretty cute. I'm pretty happy with how I look. If I could lose like maybe 10 pounds, I'll be like, you know what? I'm straight, and I'm working on it. Speaking of which, I have a MyFitnessPal. If you guys want to be friends on there, I will put that information somewhere, and we can work together to help each other lose weight this 2022. But I've never really got to do voice acting stuff. There was a couple of times where I auditioned for it, and there was a time where I actually auditioned to be a VTuber, which nowadays, if you ask me if I ever would go into VTubing, I kind of shrug and be like, I like being myself more than anything else. I think it was more so the allure of instant fandom was like, yes, there's a content creator that speaks to me, yes. So I applied for HoloLive right before they announced the second generation EN girls council. That's it, the council group. And honestly, I knew going into it was just like, hey, they're not looking for male talent. They might be now. They're currently doing a sign in casting poll, whatever, for anybody. So who knows? Maybe we'll see like EM male. I don't really keep up with a lot of VTubers anymore. Every now and again, I'll watch their clips on YouTube, but that's about the gist of it. A couple of my friends are VTubers, and I'll watch them, but that's about the gist. As far as like other things I got to do with my voice, though, I was on radio for a little bit of time. I used to do a little bit of DJing and like MC work over my old university's radio station. So I got involved with that for a little while. I would do basically, I think I ended up calling it like Seth's Smooth Jazz Study Hour, and I'd welcome it with like, you're listening to. Oh wait, I can't say the university's name. Shit. You're listening to University Smooth Jazz, your number one spot for smooth jazz and chill vibes. And I'd like deepen my voice and make it more like an ASMR type of thing. And then like people would call in every now and again and be like, can you play this song? And it's just like, oh, Seth, I have this problem. Can we talk about it? I'm like, yeah. And to some degree, like, it was part of the inspiration for the show. I don't really like talking about it a whole bunch because it was more cringe than I make it sound. Like, I wasn't this super, like, great MC. I was, working with older equipment. It was more like I wanted to see what the technology was like, and I had the voice for radio. But I've done a couple of ad reads. There was one point where I was on national radio. My mom, back in the day, used to do a show called Diva La Difference, maybe? I honestly don't remember a whole bunch. But she used to be broadcasted across the state radio. And there was one point where, like, I came in and I got to do, like, a full-on show for her because I was doing stuff with the university. So it was just like, yeah, no, I can cover a show for a day. And so I got to be the diva on the radio. Yay. And now I'm the diva on the podcast. Yay. But anyway, I think I've been going for long enough. I hope you guys have had a wonderful time listening to me rant about gacha games. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, concerns about them, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at PhantasmaPlumes. Find me on Twitch at, twitch.tv/PhantasmaPlumes. And, hit me up at the email, PlumesCast@gmail.com. I tend to be very available. But as always, guys, thank you all so much for listening. And as always, I'll talk to you again from the stars very soon. Until next time, everyone. Bye-bye!